2018 Formula 1 season headed to Australia for round 2 of the championship. Lewis Hamilton added to his coveted collection of pole positions as he lined up once again in that pole position spot. Sebastian Vettel was second for the second race in a row now, whilst Apex was third on the grid, narrowly pipping out his teammate on row 2. Kubica was only half a tenth behind his teammate, while Raikkonen and Bottas lined up 5th and 6th, 2 rows behind their teammates. Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez made it an Audi 4th row, with Hülkenberg 2 tenths ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez, which is a good drive by the German. Stoffel van Dorn beat Daniel Ricciardo on row 5, their teammates mirrored them behind them on row 6, with Alonso beating Verstappen by 300ths of a second. Sergei Sorokin pipped Pierre Gasly on row 7, the Russian was only half a tenth ahead of the Frenchman. Carlos Sainz was only just behind his teammate, and he beat the Canadian of Lance Stroll on 16th on the grid. Esteban Ocon lined up 17th, just ahead of George Russell, making an all-Force India row 9. Pascal Wehrlein and Charles Leclerc made it an all-BMW row 10, and Leclerc was last on the grid for the race ahead. Moving on to said race now. As the lights come on now in Australia, Lewis Hamilton on pole on your right hand side. He gets a pretty bad start as Sebastian Vettel tries to get into the lead down the inside. It looks like he might be able to do it into turn 1, will he? He appears to be in front, while Apex is now down into, I think, 5th position. Hamilton though is slipstreaming Vettel as they now go too wide further behind them, as they all go too wide now into turn 3. Can Vettel stick it down the inside of Hamilton, or Hamilton might be able to hold it back as Raikkonen goes down the inside of Robert Kubica, maybe trying to get 4th place, but Kubica holds the inside line through turn 5. As you can see, the front 2 are now storming away as this battle continues, as Raikkonen and Kubica go quite defensive, but they keep up in the apex, so we can't actually manage to make a move there into turn 6. Moving on to lap 2, Raikkonen is still ahead of us here in the battle for 4th place, as we look behind us to see Sergio Perez there, just watching the Audi engine as we think maybe about going down the inside, but there's a bit of a lock up there and realised that that would have been cutting the corner, it would have been an illegal overtake, so we think better of it and stick behind Raikkonen for the meantime. Here we are now on lap 3, and we're following the McLarens down the main straight. What's going to happen here? Because they don't appear to be getting... Oh, Stoffel van Dorn's pulling off to the side. That can't be good for the Belgian, not at all. What a shame for him. And now as we move on, you can see 2 abreast there is Vettel and Kubica, as Vettel's fallen back a bit here. And we go down the inside of Raikkonen. Can we get it through turn 5? The hand of anger goes up there against Raikkonen. I think there's a bit of wheel banging going on. Now we set our sights onto our teammate Robert there, who is falling back a bit from Sebastian Vettel, who has managed to pull away despite the fact that he nearly fell into the clutches of us Renault drivers. And Robert broke a bit early, so we try and go down the inside, but it's forced him out wide, which means that now Raikkonen is on the tail of our teammate, and also the Audi now is going alongside, but Raikkonen cuts him off, shuts the door, tries to go around the outside of the chicane. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can, through that high-speed chicane. Managed to get the inside line to the second part as the Audi is weaving all over the place. It's trying to make the move. And now Robert tries to go down the inside, but no, he locks up and he's just tugged the apex there and blocked all the cars behind him. I mean, that's one way to keep position. On to the next lap now, and we're already making our first pit stop on lap 7 of this Grand Prix. These Ultrasofts have not gone very far after already doing some laps in qualifying. We are pitting a lot earlier than a lot of people here, because we're planning to do a 2-stop here, whereas I think some people will try and do a 1-stop onto the soft tyres at their first pit stop. There's a select pit stop by the Renault crew, which is good, and hopefully it'll get us out into some good air, clean air. As you can see, that's not going to be the case, as we're going to come out just behind that Force India. As you can see, Sebastian Vettel's already made his pit stop onto the Ultrasoft tyre. I mean, he has to at least be doing a 2-stop this race. And now we're going to have to try and push on to get past this Force India so we can chase down the Ferrari man, but maybe not on these super softs compared to his Ultras. Sticking it through this stadium section, we're just trying to hold it behind the Force India. You can just see how much more grip we have, showing that the money that Force India had really didn't help them going into these new rule changes this year with the engines. They don't really know how to maximise that Mercedes engine. Of course the Mercedes engine hasn't been great this year, but it's just easy for us to breeze past this Force India. I mean, I know we're on fresher tyres, but that was too easy. And now you can see Vettel's going on the other Force India now, as we've gotten past Russell. This is Ocon that he's just gone clean around the outside of, just showing the difference between the two cars once again. Here is Lewis Hamilton then, trying to make sure that we don't undercut him and gain an even bigger advantage as he pits now, but he's going to get caught and held by Raikkonen and by the Audi. I think that's Perez. What a shame for the Mercedes driver. I mean, Raikkonen's been held up by the Mercedes, but he's gained so much time on Hamilton there. And Perez looks like he had a clean stop and won't be held by anyone, but you can just see now that Hamilton's lost so much time in that pit stop, and that could compromise his entire race there. As you can see, look, he does actually get ahead of all this traffic, whereas some of the drivers behind him still aren't. Like Raikkonen's still got a car in front of him, and this is Hülkenberg, who has fallen down the field and is on probably the same strategy as Sebastian Vettel. Now here we are on the back of Carlos Sainz, trying to pressurise him for position. Obviously he's on the soft tyres, meaning he's trying to go long on this stint, and it looks like with that Aston Martin engine we are just going to breeze past the Toro Rosso driver. I think that was Carlos Sainz, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't get to see the side of his shark fin. And now Robert is pressurising Hamilton on his ultra soft tyres, and Hamilton locks up and just runs wide. Now on here with Kimi Raikkonen, and he's done the same thing, and he's allowed Max Verstappen to go through. And Verstappen actually has pitted and is probably going to the end of the race now on these soft tyres, trying to do that one-stop strategy that I mentioned that some teams might be able to do. And as you can see now, Bottas is absolutely pressurising Raikkonen, trying to see if the Finn will make a mistake. Finn on Finn battle here. And as you can see, Vettel has also made a second pit stop, showing that and he's on ultra softs again, showing that maybe he's trying to do a 3-stop, which is quite ambitious from the Ferrari driver. And as you can see, oh there, Raikkonen has gone into the pits. That probably will be the final pit stop for the Finn. I don't know what tyres he'll go on to, probably some super softs. And there you can see Robert Kubica a little bit later has gone on to some super softs, sorry. And Perez as well has done the same thing. But crucially, Carlos Sainz has come out ahead of Sergio Perez in the pits, which is a great work by the Toro Rosso team to pull off that strategy. Here we are on lap 20 on board with us now, and we're going to make our final pit stop onto some ultra softs, hopefully on lower fuel and a more grippy track. We might be able to keep those tyres in better shape and pressurise for the win. We are probably going to come out behind the Red Bull of at least Max Verstappen. We don't know about Daniel Ricciardo, but they're both trying to do one-stop strategies on I think it was an ultra soft or maybe even a super soft to soft stint. And as you can see there, we came up behind Max Verstappen, and this is on the same lap, and we tried to go down the inside, but there was a bump and we locked up. As you can see, we now go off because I was trying to adjust my brake bias just so I could not have any more lockups with the worn brakes that we have on the car at the moment. And now we're being pressurised with Daniel Ricciardo, and we've lost so much time to Max Verstappen up in front. While that incident was all happening up in front, as you can see the yellow flags, Robert Kubica was trying to make a move around the outside of Hamilton. I don't know if the stewards will have a look at that, because Robert was clearly trying to make a move under yellow flags. Hopefully nothing comes under it, because there was no overtaking, but he didn't exactly respect the yellow flags. Now as we move on, his next target is Daniel Ricciardo, who's trying to do that one stop, which may not pull off for him. Robert manages to keep the inside of that 90-degree left-hander in the stadium section, and Hamilton now is trying to tag into the slipstream, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it in the braking zone. No, he won't, especially with that lock-up. But it doesn't matter anyway, because Hamilton now is pressurising him just a lap later. He's going to try and do sort of the same move as Robert did just a lap before. It's kind of easy for these drivers though, with their fresher tyres against these worn soft tyres, which of course are the hardest tyres you can have here at Australia. Can Alonso maybe also make it done into turn 6? He's going to try and go around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. It didn't quite work though. Into turn 9, could he make a move maybe on the brakes? Let's just watch the McLaren driver. Will he do it? No, he won't. But as you can see now, Hamilton on those ultra softs that have probably warmed up maybe a bit better now, and he's trying to pressurise Robert and have a go at him into this right-hander at I think turn 13. And it's just made easy for him on those grippier tyres, which just shows that maybe Robert didn't choose the best strategy for the end of this race. But surprisingly, he's fallen back a lot from Lewis, and does he have a problem maybe? Because he's now being pressurised by the Red Bull there of Daniel Ricciardo, which shouldn't really happen in a straight line, because that car doesn't have much straight line speed at the moment. But Ricciardo is going to try and make a move into turn 1, and he does. He's gone just clean around the outside there, and is Alonso going to make a move now maybe into turn 3? Yes, he is, which means that clearly Robert must have an issue at this point. Probably with maybe the engine, I would presume. I doubt it would be something else that's wrong with his car. And now you can see we've got no problems, as we've caught up that 5.7 second gap to Max Verstappen, and now we're pressurising him with DRS, trying to tug into his slipstream, trying to choose which way to go. He covers the inside line, so we have to go right around the outside. Can we make it through turn 3? Not exactly, but turn 4, no, he's closer to the door, so we're going to have to kind of just stay in his slipstream, and we're going to get dirty air through turn 5, but on these tyres it doesn't really matter. And maybe around the outside of turn 6 there's a bit of banging going on, and there's a bit of weaving, and once again Verstappen manages to just hold me off, trying to get that win, that 4th win of his career, that coveted 4th win that he would so dearly want. But it appears that even with poor traction there on the curb, we are going to absolutely hang it around the outside and pull off an amazing move on Max Verstappen for the lead of the race. As you can see now, Sergio Perez is going for a move on our teammate. I don't know if you saw in the last shot, but in the hairpin in the last corner, you could see just how far behind Perez was, and he's already caught up to Robert by the end of this race, which is just not what the pole would have wanted. And now the Ferrari driver of Sebastian Vettel, who is on that 3-stop strategy, is going to be trying to make a move around the outside, and it's too easy for them. But hopefully now for Robert, there isn't anyone really left to overtake him, because I think it's Pierre Gasly behind him, and he's just not close enough. There's only about 2 laps for him to go. But as we round the final corner in only our 2nd Grand Prix in Formula 1, we take the win ahead of Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton rounds up the podium once again. For 2 races in a row, he gets 3rd place, and we are now the top of the championship. So here are the results for the Grand Prix. We managed to pull off an amazing win on the 2-stop strategy versus the 1-stop that Max Verstappen was using to try and beat us in that Red Bull. He did manage to make up 10 positions compared to his starting place, which is just phenomenally well done. Hamilton once again finishes 3rd, but on pole you really would have thought that he probably would have been able to get maybe at least a top 2. Daniel Ricciardo, unlike his teammate, didn't make as many positions, but he still climbed up 7 places on that 1-stop strategy to get 4th, to really boost Red Bull's chances in the Constructors. Alonso managed to pull above his weight in that McLaren once again, also like Ricciardo, pulling 6 positions, not 7 for Ricciardo, but 6. My maths is a bit off there for some reason. Vettel fell a bit back once again. I mean, this time it was clearly a strategy issue instead of a mechanical issue that dropped him down. Sergio Perez was 7th for Audi, which shows just how fine their setup window is for Audi, because they've gone from being arguably the best car in Bahrain to now being probably the 4th, maybe 5th in Australia. So it's not very good there. Robert Kubica, 8th, but we know he did have an issue. It turned out, according to the team, it was a turbo issue, that it just wasn't, for some reason, it wasn't reaching max RPM for some reason. Probably an MGUH problem as well there. Pierre Gasly managed to score a crucial 2 points for Toro Rosso on that 1-stop strategy. Well done to him, I have to say. Valtteri Bottas lost 4 positions. Not very good for him, but he's finally got off the mark at least in 10th. Hulkenberg once again just showing how poor that Audi has been this weekend. Kimi Räikkönen quite a ways off his teammate as well, down in 12th, 7 places down from where he started. Sergei Sorokin is the only driver to have stayed where they started, and the rest of the bottom 10 are the best of the rest, apart from Stoffel Van Dorn, who did have a DNF. Unlucky for him. It was quite a scare for me when that happened, because Renault engine is also in the back of the McLaren as well as in the back of our car, which isn't always what you want. And the only car to be lapped was Carlos Sainz on that two-stop strategy, who was quite a ways off Lance Stroll, who was quite a ways off Pascal Wehrlein. But those last two finishers at least were quite a way off the pace, one must say. So moving on to the championship standings after the second round of the 2018 season, as you can see, we have taken the top of the standings away from Kimi Räikkönen, who's dropped all the way down to 4th after a non-points finish, which just shows what can happen when you don't finish early on in the season. You can drop quite a way down. As you can see, Hamilton with his 2 podiums, which is, apart from me, the only other driver to get 2 podiums, both in 3rd place for him. Max Verstappen climbs up to 3rd from 5th. Good job from him after that 2nd place. That has boosted Red Bull to 2nd place in the constructor standings, just behind us, about 11 points behind us in the constructor standings. Ferrari, even though they haven't had the best run of form, that win is still keeping them up there in 3rd place in the constructors standings. Mercedes have dropped a bit down now to 4th because of Bottas's lackluster performances, you must say, only getting 1 point from 2 races. I know the first race he retired instead of being out of the points on pace, but it still wasn't a good drive. He wasn't in a really high position back in Bahrain. He was about 8th or 7th, I think, when he retired. As you can see, Robert has dropped down the standings after his low finish today. Alonso getting sort of where that McLaren is this season, one must say. It's not the fastest car on the grid by any standards. Sergio Perez is in 8th place now, which isn't the best result, isn't the worst result for him to be in that position. I mean, he's in an Audi, but they've had one good race, one bad race at Audi in terms of like their car's pace and their setup window. So, is all I can really say for them. Vettel from 11th and an issue to getting 8 points. Not bad for him, I have to say, considering that he had a poor strategy decision for Ferrari there. Why would you go for a 3-stop around Australia, a track where you can hardly overtake? Just once again, Ferrari proving that they're maybe not the best minds when it comes to strategy. Maybe they need someone like Ross Brawn to come out of retirement or something. And to round off the top 10 in the championship is Stoffel Van Dorn, who, despite having a DNF, is still in the top 10 of the championship, which is very good, considering the only other person to have a DNF is Valtteri Bottas, and he's down in 14th. So, not a bad performance by the Belgian. Thank you guys for watching this video. Just the amount of support that I've gotten from this is amazing. I mean, I've got just the mod is doing great, the video is doing great, this part 1 is doing great. I will be trying to get this done before 2018 comes out. I will try my hardest, and this won't be like race against pole, which I only stopped because the cars got too fast. The real life cars are actually too fast already at this point in the season. By the time they got to Spain, there was no chance I was going to beat those pole times just because of how fast those cars were. I mean, I didn't do one in Bahrain because I was on holiday, and I just lost the footage for Baku, so I just used my world record lap because it was fast enough, and I was just like, well, it counts. But yeah, thank you for watching. Check out the next video when it's online at some point, and see ya.